Good morning. Turns out that today is Word of the Day, Saturday. Who knew? And our word for today is love. I'd like to share several words from St. Paul's poem of love in 1 Corinthians 13. If I speak in the tongues of mortals or of angels but do not have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. Love is patient, love is kind. Love does not delight in evil but rejoices with the truth. Love never fails. Now these three remain: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. While those words may be familiar because you've heard them read so often at weddings, they were Paul's words to the early Christian church. Our love for each other was to be a reflection of God's perfect love for us. Love is who God is and what we are called to be to one another in this world. Love is such an overused word. It can be as sweet and harmless as pink hearts and sappy cards at Valentine's Day. And it can be a word that we use to describe both peanut butter and our children. But this love that Paul talks about, that God has for us and that we are called to have for others, is a strong and powerful emotion that can and has changed the world. Love can be dangerous. It was love that the authorities tried to crucify when they killed Jesus. Love that would not ignore the poor or the marginalized. Love that called out injustice. And a love that extended to everyone. It seems as if our world has been turned upside down since March. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed life as we knew it. And now the tragic murder of George Floyd by Minneapolis police officers has thrown this nation and world into a spasm of anger and pain and grief. And yet, we continue to see great acts of love in our world. We saw medical personnel work with the sickest and most contagious patients without adequate PPE. We continue to wear our face masks to show our love for one another. And this past week, we have seen love in action as thousands and thousands have peacefully protested to demand an end to systemic racism. We've seen protesters and police hug each other, a governor kneeling in solidarity with protesters, and neighbors coming together to clean up after the few destroyed and looted. Love never ends, and the power of God's love will never be defeated. That is the love that we are called to reflect in our world. It's not easy sometimes, but it has never been more necessary and important. We read in the Old Testament prophet Micah, "And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God?" May God's love for us encourage us always to reach out in love to one another.